What's up, everybody? My name is RaisorBlade, and I am answering questions from you guys. Anyway, I did one of these a while back in like October, but that was back when I was like a little channel about like, I don't think I even had like 4,000 subscribers at the time yet, but now I'm at 18.5, maybe 18.6, which is absolutely crazy because I literally hit 5K just like, not like just about 2 months ago, which is crazy. So I decided to welcome all of you guys by giving you guys a chance to ask me whatever question you wanted, and now I'm going to be answering them, giving you guys my absolute honest answers, so let's begin. You see the trailer for the new Disney movie Strange World. I have, actually. I really dig the 50s B-movie kind of style for like the first half. In fact, it kind of made me wish the entire movie was going to be like that, you know, where it's in black and white and you got the old-timey radio voices and such. But as it is, it looks colorful, it looks imaginative, the character designs look really cool and stuff like that. One thing somebody brought up was that it's being directed by Don Hall, who was the director of Raya and the Last Dragon and Big Hero 6, so that's gonna be interesting to notice. Like I said, we'll have to wait and see how it turns out. Okay, then, for my question, how would you feel of some shows taking influence from Batman, the animated series, and Avatar: The Last Airbender? You think most cartoons should follow from that example, or more have each cartoon's good or bad have its own identity? I guess that really depends on what you mean by that, because there's nothing really wrong with taking influence from any show. Like, I love Batman the Animated Series, and I love Avatar The Last Airbender. And if I was to make a TV show, I would definitely take influences from those two shows specifically. But with that being said, taking influence from any show isn't necessarily a bad thing, so long as you're able to make the show that you're making its own thing. You can take influence from other shows or even movies or whatever, and at the same time still have its own identity. What, you think Owl House is its own completely 100% original thing? Like, it had to take influence from stuff like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Like I said, it's all about making what you're making its own thing. Taking influence from something else, that is not a problem, so long as you can make what you are making feel like its own thing. Your feelings on Gravity Falls. Oh man, I fucking love Gravity Falls, man. I haven't watched it in years, though. I really should rewatch it just to catch up on it again, because I really did enjoy Gravity Falls back when I was on TV. Don't have a whole lot to say, because again, it's been so long, but the memes are great, though. I will say that much. The memes are great. What are your thoughts on We Bare Bears? I honestly didn't watch that show. I mean, I think it was around that time, the time We Bare Bears came on TV. I think around that time I was getting off of cable and moving on to like Netflix and Hulu and YouTube and stuff like that. Like I said, I didn't really watch We Bare Bears all that often. Like, I've heard it's a good show, but by then I was basically getting away from cable. I wasn't watching Cartoon Network anymore. I was, like I said, I was on streaming service at that point, so never saw it. Since you reviewed the live-action Beauty and the Beast, have you thought about reviewing the other live-action remakes from Disney? I have, actually. I actually wanted to review Mulan 2020 with my friend Jinlong the Golden Dragon, but she says she has no interest in watching it, so I might have to do that by myself. But yeah, it has been, I have considered reviewing those movies. But to be perfectly honest, I'm not 100% sure anymore with Mulan 2020 because so many other people have reviewed it, and I think just about everyone knows how much of a piece of shit that it actually is, so... Same with Lion King 2019, it's like, what can I say that no one else has said, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, it's just everyone has talked about those movies, everyone has talked about how shitty they are, it's like, what can I add? I mean, I can always review them in the future, but... It's just like, what do I say? That's the problem. What is your favorite dinosaur? This is going to be a weird choice, okay? I know some people are going to be like, really, that one? But I have a story for it. My favorite dinosaur is Ceratosaurus. I have a good story for this. So back when I was little, it was like 2003, maybe 2004. I remember I had a friend of mine spending the night over that night, and I had just rented Jurassic Park Operation Genesis for the PS2 from the movie store in town. I didn't have Blockbuster in my town. I had I had a movie gallery. I think that's what it was. Either movie gallery or movie vault. I can't fully remember. It was like, this was forever ago. But long story short, I rented Jurassic Park Operation Genesis on PS2. By the way, worst version of the game. Stick to PC. And basically that night was fucking awesome. I skipped the tutorial, so I had no idea how to play. But basically we got to making dinosaurs. And Ceratosaurus was the first dinosaur I made in that game. And I don't know, that's like a core memory in my head, because we had a fucking awesome night that night, and I still remember it to this day. And yeah, I guess Ceratosaurus just kind of always stuck with me after all these years. So, like I said, Ceratosaurus is just, it's always been my favorite dinosaur, you know? It's just crazy. It's funny how it's only been in like one scene in the entire Jurassic Park franchise. You know, it's like, another reason to hate Dominion. Ceratosaurus wasn't in it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, outside of that scene with the Spinosaurus shit, Ceratosaurus was barely in the franchise, and that's a little disappointing. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? How tall are you? I mean, I don't have a ruler on me, but like last time I measured myself, I was like 5'6", 5'7" maybe. I'm not super tall, but I'm not exactly a munchkin neither. I'm just like, I guess I'm just kind of average height for a guy. Don't know why you're really asking that, set in a hit. Do you know any other languages other than Spanish? I meant English, being sarcastic. No. I'm about as white trash American as you can imagine. I'm from Kentucky. I'm white. I'm straight. If anything, I'll be damned before I learn any of that Spanish shit. They can take that gibberish back to where they come from. I don't know where the fuck that came from. No, I do not speak any other languages other than English. Sorry. I'm not a new fan, but I've got to ask. What is one movie/show that you don't think is worth a video on your channel, and why? It could be either a good or bad piece of media. That is actually a good question. I mean, I don't want to say it's not worth it, but sometimes, like, when you have a plan to review something, but then it gets covered a lot on YouTube, and then that kind of dissuades you from wanting to review it yourself. Like I said, I just talked about this when we were on 2020, because really it's like, well, what's even the point when everyone else has already talked about it? What else can you add to the conversation, you know? I don't want to just sound like I'm repeating everybody, you know? Which is kind of a trap I fell into with the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom review, where I just ended up repeating a bunch of people. Which is not a problem. You can have the same critiques as other critics, but at the same time, you know, it really does kind of sound like you're just kind of banking off their success and just repeating them, and you're not offering anything new. And yeah, that just kind of gets generic, and nobody remembers your review, and nobody remembers you, and it just becomes a big thing. But I really can't think of any one thing in particular that's not worth a video on my channel. Like, because, you know, like, for starters, there was a time where I thought Norm of the North wasn't going to be worth making a video about, because, again, everyone had talked about it. Everyone knew how bad Norm of the North was, but then as time went on, I changed my mind and I reviewed it. And yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like, right now I might not want to review something, but then later down the line I might change my mind. For example, I consider talking about Miraculous Ladybug because it's a show that I can't get into. I've tried multiple times. I've heard everyone around me say it's terrible. It's an awful show in so many ways. And yet I have also heard people say they love it, which is just like, it's such a weird fandom. It's like some people absolutely despise it, other people absolutely love it. I'm just like, man, this is a weird show. I have to probably check it out, but I just can never get into it no matter how hard I try. And I'm like, I would love to make a video about Miraculous Ladybug. I can never get into it. It's just like, I don't know. I just can never do it. It's just so... But I would love to. I would love to make a video about Miraculous Ladybug one day. I've heard people request it too. It's just, I would probably need to team up with somebody to help me get into it. To help me at least sit down and say, okay, we're going to watch season 1. We're going to watch season 2. You're going to learn all this behind the scenes drama. You're going to learn that the creator's a piece of shit. Because I've heard people say the creator for Miraculous is a piece of shit. And all this kind of crap. And it's like, it's just a big ass rabbit hole, man. And I would have to devote a lot of time to it. To actually really dig in there to get that rabbit. And that's just, it's really hard to say. It's just, that's what I mean by that. What are your hopes for the upcoming Super Mario movie? I mean, I'm honestly kind of excited for it, to see how much of a big piece of shit it ends up being. And the weird thing is, that's the thing, I am interested to see how bad it'll be, but I'm also scared it's not gonna be that terrible, because it's Illumination. And the thing about Illumination is, they don't make offensively terrible garbage. They don't make movies as bad as Norm of the North or anything like that. They make some of the most safe, generic shit you can imagine. Just absolutely, just nothing. Just such boring shit. It's just, there's nothing to ever talk about, you know? It's like, yeah, they make fart jokes. Yeah, they have super safe animation, super safe character design. It's like, It's the most safe, monotonous movie you can imagine. And I'm afraid the Super Mario movie is going to be the same exact way. It's not going to be terrible enough to really like get a kick out of, but it's not going to be a good movie either. It's just going to be such a whatever movie that just exists, you know? It's like, okay, like... So, I'm not excited for it, but I'm also kind of excited for it. I know it's weird, but that's just how it goes. What is a TV show that everybody hates but you love? I actually really like Legend of Korra. I know there's people out there who despise that show with a passion and stuff like that, but I actually kind of think it's a good show. It's not as good as the original Avatar, though, and Season 2 is genuinely shit, but overall, it's a good show. I think overall, it's a good show, you know? It had, Season 3 was able to pick up the pace. And on top of all that, nobody ever brings up that Legend of Korra had a really shitty production. Because originally, Legend of Korra was just supposed to be like a 4-episode, TV special, but then Nickelodeon changed their minds and said, actually, no, we want like a full season, and then, you know what, we want 4 seasons. And the people were like, oh, come on, pick and choose, Nickelodeon. And it's just like, they clearly didn't have the time to actually plan a story out because they weren't supposed to originally, and then suddenly they were supposed to, which would explain why Season 2 was so terrible, because it was just kind of shat out there. They had no time to actually write it or plan it out or anything, The show was originally supposed to end with the first season, but then Nickelodeon said, no, make more seasons. And it's like, we didn't have a story planned out. And I'm like, yeah, that's very clear if you watch Season 2. It's terrible. But overall, I think it's a good show. I think Season 3 really does pick up from it, and Season 4 is also really good. Would you say you are a fan of How to Train Your Dragon? And if you do, what would you say your status is? Just make up a status like fan, super fan. I would just say fan. I mean, I love it. It's one of my favorite franchises. But I wouldn't use a term like super fan or real fan because, I don't know, that whole Liam bullshit and everything, it's like, what does that even mean? What does it mean to be a real fan of something? Because to me, it sounds like a real fan is somebody who loves and accepts everything the franchise has, regardless of how shit it actually is. And it's like, I just want to be a person who says, I love this particular thing, I have problems with this particular thing, and I still love it nonetheless. I love the first How to Train Your Dragon. It is one of my all-time favorite movies. The second movie is still really good. The third movie is good. Race to the Edge. It's a decent show. I have problems with it, and you all probably know how I feel about 9 Realms. I don't know. I don't think I would ever use the term fan to describe how much I love something. I would just say I love it this much. That's about it. So, I don't know. There you go. Why do you look like a younger version of my history teacher? I don't know. Is your history teacher hot? That could be it. What is a review you had to cancel for whatever reason? Probably my Patreon request. I remember when I got Patreon started, I started doing requests for movies, but then I was supposed to leave and go on a road trip and stuff like that. I was going to try and go nomad for a while, but then gas prices started going up, and then things got kind of complicated here at home, like for starters, I ordered a laptop that was supposed to run Adobe Premiere, but it didn't get here in time for the time I was supposed to leave. And then on top of that, my uncle Gary, he was entering his last days of life, and he recently passed away. And it's like, now I want to kind of stay here for the funeral and stuff like that. I still plan on leaving to go on my road trip, but it's, like I said, I'm still waiting for the funeral, which is next week. And so it's just kind of gotten out of my hands and stuff like that. I kind of want to be here for family-related stuff, and it's just, like I said, it's gotten away with me and stuff like that. But I do still want to go out there. But another reason I canceled these requests is, and I feel kind of shitty for this, I kind of regret ever asking for Patreon requests, to be honest, because these people were often asking for movies that I had absolutely no interest in reviewing. And to be perfectly honest, when you have zero interest in reviewing something, it's just kind of a shame to try and review it and then you have absolutely no passion put into it. You're just kind of forced to write a script for something you don't give a shit about. I'm not going to say who asked the request and what movies they asked for, but basically these were movies I had no interest in reviewing and stuff. And it just like, and when they bring up these movies I have never seen before and I had no interest in watching, it's like, these people were paying $20 for a review, and I'm like, I'm going to give them something that's not worth $20, And it's just like, I don't think that's fair for them. So I stopped requests, and on top of that, I don't think I'm ever going to bring Patreon requests back because, I just don't want people to ask me for a specific movie that I will have no interest in watching, no interest in reviewing, and on top of all that, make them, charge them for something that they will not get, basically. I will not give them a quality product, basically. So, like I said, in terms of Patreon request, sorry, it's a no more. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm sorry. What got you into making videos? I've actually answered this question before in previous Q&As, but I'll answer it again. This actually dates way back to high school when, back when I was like 16 or 17, I was going through a really rough place. I was being bullied. I was being made fun of a lot. Like I said, me and my dad weren't getting along. And my life was basically miserable. I effectively wanted to commit suicide. I had suicidal tendencies at the time. But it was around this time where YouTube and YouTubers were becoming a big thing. You know, I discovered people like PewDiePie and Markiplier and stuff like that. And these people effectively made my day-to-day so much better, and it made me want to become a YouTuber as well. So I would often try to attempt YouTube multiple times. I actually tried to become a YouTuber, and I failed multiple times. If you do some digging, you can probably find my very old YouTube videos from like back in that time when I was in high school and stuff. But I was finally able to save up money from my job to buy a real PC, to buy real editing equipment, real microphone and camera and all that kind of stuff. And I was finally able to start devoting time to, you know, actually making videos and trying my hardest to be a YouTuber. And like I said, making videos, like I said before, YouTube effectively was the light that basically gave me a chance. It gave me hope that there was a better tomorrow. And now, here I am at over 18,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy. I never thought I would get this high. It's absolutely phenomenal. Again, most people tell you that it's never going to happen, that it's never going to work. And like I said, after being on YouTube for over 6 years and only getting up to about 5,000, yeah, that's very discouraging. If the goal is to try and become a big name YouTuber, to try and like get hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, all that kind of stuff. And it was never about getting views or subscribers and everything. I know I make the jokes in those videos sometimes, but like it never really was about that. This really was about just entertaining people and, you know, basically being to these people what they were to me. Basically, to be to somebody what YouTubers were to me. What PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, all these other YouTubers, what they were to me at a very terrible time. And I really hope that my videos do genuinely get you guys through your horrible days and genuinely show you guys that there is hope in the future, that there is something worth smiling for and laughing for. And that's always been the main goal. Always. And now that I'm kind of at a place where I can start taking YouTube more seriously and even make it a job, I can start doing that way more often. And I think that's just the fucking greatest thing in the world, man. Like, yeah, it's absolutely incredible. But hopefully that answers your question. This isn't really a movie-related question, but are you a dog or a cat person? I would be more of a snake person, honestly. Sadly, I don't have a cage, and my dad will never let me own a snake so long as I'm living with him. Sadly, I've had dogs and cats before, but they just never really worked out. I currently do have a cat, though, but this was my mom's cat, who we're just kind of keeping because, you know, my mom loved her and such. But that was more my mom's cat, if anything. I mean, I do take care of her and stuff like that, but that's, again, out of an obligation to my mom, as opposed to me genuinely wanting a cat. Like, to be perfectly honest, I would never own a cat. I mean, the only reason, if I had a girlfriend and I moved in with her and she wanted a cat, I'd be like, yeah, okay, you can have a cat, but like, you know, no, not me. As for a dog, I would love a dog. I would love to have a dog again. I've had dogs before in my life, but yeah, I mean, like I said, the pet I would want most of all is a snake. You know, maybe not like a huge python I can wear on my shoulders and go to Vegas with, but like, you know, something like maybe like a ball python or something, you know, something kind of cool like that, you know. Most overrated Disney movie ever, The Lorax 2012.
What the fuck is that?
Big Hero 6. Question answered, moving on. Would you consider doing a review for Ralph Breaks the Internet? If not, what are your thoughts on it? I myself personally think the movie was a huge letdown in comparison to the original. It tarnished not only Ralph and Penelope's character, but also their friendship that was so strong and believable in the first film. I honestly don't think I'll review it because, again, it's one of those movies that everyone has talked about and everyone kind of gets the general gist of it, you know? It's like, again, what would I be able to add to it? My problems with this movie is effectively the same as everyone else's. Nothing else to add. Who is your favorite character in all of animation? Oh man, that's actually a really good question. I love Zuko. I love Luce. I love Chowder. Uncle Iroh. Toph. God, that's a really good question. I don't think I can actually answer that accurately. Like, that's something I would have to really sit down and think about, but I don't have a direct answer for. I'm sorry. What's your favorite video game ever, and what's your favorite food? Probably Spyro Year of the Dragon, if I'm being honest. If I had to think about the long-ass library of video games, the one that has had the most impact on me ever would have to be Spyro Year of the Dragon. That's a game I can always go back to and just always enjoy it just as much as I did when I was a kid. It is one of the most timeless video games I can ever think about. Kind of like, it's easily up there with games like BioShock, Red Dead Redemption, things like that. I love those games. It's just, but Year of the Dragon, that's just, not only that, it has a nostalgia for me, so love it. What's my favorite food? It's gonna be kind of a weird answer. French fries. I love me some French fries. Make review a bad movie, please. So like Ratatouille. Boy, if you don't get your fucking ass out of here right now. I have a major pet peeve when it comes to most online reviewers and ranters, particularly with their use of uncensored cursing at their audience for the sake of making their criticisms about something. How do you feel about profanity-sensitive people like myself? All I really have to say is, I'm probably not the person for you. I mean, I guess I do get it. Not everyone is into swearing and everything, but at the same time, I enjoy swearing. I don't really care about swearing all that much. I swear all the time, as some people have heard. And I guess I'm just not really the person for you. I'm really sorry. I'm not going to stop swearing just because one person doesn't like it. How does it feel knowing the Secret Nymph is turning 40 this year? As I've said before in my review, I don't have a huge nostalgic connection for the Secret Nymph. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was a great movie, but I have no real connection for it. It's like, I mean, cool, I guess. It's cool that it's turning 40. Whatever. I can live on without that knowledge. Favorite DreamWorks movie? Prince of Egypt. Just one of the most flawless movies ever. It's just so fucking good. The Prince of Egypt is just... the more I think about it, the more amazing it actually is in every single way. From the animation, to the characters, to the music... Oh my god, it's just such a phenomenal film overall. It's almost kind of crazy to think that it actually is a DreamWorks movie, you know? Like, it's from the same studio that made fucking Boss Baby and Trolls and everything. Like, that's the same studio. Like, oh my god, it's absolutely crazy. It's funny you bring up the Bible. I don't make a habit out of reading the Bible. I have a Bible over there on my desk. I don't read it often. I do go through it every once in a while, admittedly, but like I don't actually sit down and read it every day, so I would say no, I have not. Would you ever review Rungo one day? Of all the animated films that won Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards, this is the one that I felt earned its win the most. Okay, I highly disagree with that. There are a few movies that I do believe do deserve their win more than Rungo, like Spirited Away, for example, which is just so much better than Rungo, honestly. Rungo, I could review that one day. Yeah, I might review Rungo one day. It's a very interesting film. It's got a very unique style to it. The animation is fucking insanely good. Like, it has that photorealistic look to it, but at the same time, it manages to make the characters look cartoony and be cartoony and have those cartoony expressions in a way that doesn't feel forced. Like, I recently saw Lightyear today, and I'll have a video up for it. Either before or after this goes up, I'm not exactly sure. But I saw Lightyear today, and I always think it's kind of weird how the cartoony-looking humans and the photorealistic backgrounds, they really clash. They don't look that good together. But Rango somehow made it work. And that movie came out over 10 years ago. It's kind of insane how good they did it. And I've never seen another movie with that kind of animation achieve it to the same level as Rango. So yeah, I think Rango was an interesting movie to talk about. I will talk about it one day. So I think that'll about do it. I'm sure this post will get more questions in the future, but I sadly will not be answering them. Sorry guys, you snooze, you lose. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I want to do more of these in the future. I want you guys to actually get to know the real me. I don't want you guys to just know the character that I throw out there. I do want you guys to know the real me and stuff. But yeah, I think that'll about do it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for helping me reach 18.5K. I think we might have surpassed Big Jack Films by this point. In your face, Jack! I'm just kidding. But anyway, still, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like and a comment if you want to. Support me on Patreon if you'd like. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video whenever it comes out. So stay awesome, guys. And as always, rock on.
You